You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AfterBuzz TV for A-List New York. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest A-List news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AfterBuzz TV for A-List New York!
Oh, hello, and welcome to the very first episode of AfterBuzz TV, the A-List New York. Yay! It's going to be a very interesting season. Before we get started, I want to plug the Every Girls Guide to Life, Maria Menounos' book. It's still out. Get it wherever you can. Amazon.com, wherever books are sold, everywhere. So today we have Cameron Marston over here to my left. Across from me we have Jacque Borowski, and our booth director extraordinaire, DJ Jesse Janedy. And so we're here to break down everything that is the A-List New York. This first episode aired last night at 10 p.m. on Logo, and I have to say that it was quite an interesting episode. It was full of drama, suspense, tackiness, cat fighting, and it was we're here to basically to break it down and give our thoughts and opinions. So let's just start from the beginning. We left off with the 6 guys, and they tried to reunite, but alliances were broken. New friendships were formed. So this episode started like a Breaking Bad or a Mad Men episode, where it starts in the middle of a confrontation, and then it takes us back 3 days earlier. So basically, we're in the restaurant. There's a big fight. Everyone's at the table, and the argument between Derek and Austin breaks out with Rodiney, and then we cut back to 3 days prior. So basically, we have Derek and Austin, who at the end of season 1, they're like, BFFs after having a rough beginning of the first season. Well, what do you guys think of their relationship as far as them hating each other at the beginning, and now they're like pretty much inseparable?
Revisit it halfway through this session, but I think that Derek hides behind Austin's obnoxious, loud behavior and the whole muscle idea, because Austin tends to speak his mind and he's not scared to throw a punch. So
I think that could be described for the dynamic of any group that you're with. There are people that you start off really liking and then end up hating, and then people that you start off really hating and then end up liking.
I just find that, for me, I think it's, watching the show from day one, their relationship went from explosively hating each other to like kind of annoyingly loving each other. It's like the total like parallels of a friendship. You know what I mean?
But that's what I mean. If you look at it, and because at the end of this episode, they kind of show clips of the future episodes, and you see that there's going to be animosity again between them. And last season, Derek was the first one to complain about how loud and obnoxious Austin was, but now he likes that aspect of him. So I think he hides behind that. I think that's going to become, it's that double-edged sword. The thing that you like is the very thing that you become, or you hate, or vice versa.
Well, I feel like Derek is the one that kind of, out of most of the characters on the show, he really kind of doesn't have a personality of his own, because we see him with TJ and Ryan, and he's kind of one way. He's kind of the catty, I'll follow this group. And then when he's around other characters, like Austin, for example, he's like the loud one. He's following Austin's lead. So my whole take on Derek as far as the show, he really doesn't have a personality.
I think, though, I slightly disagree. I think that he just...
You can vehemently disagree.
I slightly disagree. I think
we
that...
want you to throw things. That's how, if you want to disagree, go for it.
They both have strong emotions, and I think that's what it is. It's two people with really strong emotions running tandem to each other. And so when you have strong emotions, sometimes you just want to emote regardless of whether or not you want to love someone or hate someone. You just wear your heart on your sleeve and go wherever you feel like going.
I feel like, but for the sake of the show, which is, this is just a reality show, and I'm sure a lot of it is built in the editing room, but it seems like especially between Derek and Austin, their relationship is built on anger against Rodney. And like, it's like
a common enemy.
Not only that, is like their whole intent when they all get together, their whole intent is to make his life miserable. I have to say, there are a lot of people that I dislike in the world, and some are in a certain circle of mine, but I don't intentionally. Well, let me say this. I try not to intentionally go out of my way to
make it
provoke them.
for others.
Exactly, to provoke them. And trust me, and I think Ryan was the one that said it, when you mix alcohol and people that don't like each other, things are going to go, bad things are going to happen. That's true. But I feel as though with these two, they make it not only known, they make it a mission to, at any chance they see, at any chance they get, to attack Rodney, and I think that's unfair.
Well, it's a common cause, but going back to that statement about me, I had said Derek hiding behind Austin. Like, he made a comment towards the end about, who is Nyasha, to get in the middle of their drama, there being Austin and Reichen or Rodney. But reality is the fight actually started with Rodney and Derek, and the whole mother talking bad about their mother.
Right.
And Derek totally hid behind Austin. He liked the fact that Austin muscled up for him.
Right.
So that whole, I don't know, maybe it's a symbiotic.
Well, this also goes back. There's another show, Bad Girls Club, where it's very relevant, and I'm gonna stay on topic, where you have someone who's like the leader, and then the whole minions.
The minions.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before where we can be friends, but I'm gonna start the battle, but I'm gonna sit back and let you handle it.
I think Derek is very intelligent. I think as far as Derek versus Austin, Derek holds the intelligence, Austin's the muscle, and I think Derek's gonna learn to use him to his advantage. Like, him and Ryan were completely ripping on him in the dressing room.
Right. And kind of behind the back, because when he was in the dressing room, Ryan makes a gesture to his stomach, which is, I feel as though we're all guilty of it. But, true friendship, I guess. I mean, they claim that they're really good friends, but I see otherwise, It's all, and this kind of goes to what we've talked about in the past about this show portraying gay life as a group. And which is not, in my opinion, is not true, because not all gay men are like this.
Right. But if we talk about this coming from being influenced by, I should say, the Real Housewives franchise, it falls right in line, and it's even more exciting.
Yeah. So, well, that's well, I guess we should move on. But my whole take on the Derek Austin thing is, you're right, it's gonna blow out. We don't know what's going to happen, and we could say this for the predictions later on, but something long down the road is going to happen between two that's going to split them up. So, all right, next we get to Ryan and TJ at the salon, which is probably by far the funniest scene in this episode, because Ryan's on his way to work, he gets out of his little limo, walks in, and TJ is in the corner looking at porn. Which we all know, and we all find out that it's not porn. It's actually pictures of a nude Reichen. And my thing, I'm a little not disturbed by it, but if you break it down, I don't know if it's okay for. Okay, he's a public figure. I wouldn't say a celebrity, but I feel like he has a responsibility. You want people to, see your bits and pieces, then I suggest that you don't do that kind of behavior. And trust me, he's not the only one that does this. But
I think he knew.
I agree.
What makes you think that, though?
I think that he is an exhibitionist. I mean, you see him in the episode without his pants on. He wants to pose for Playgirl. You know, I think that this is kind of like a celebrity sex tape sort of thing.
And then we see in the next scene how he's trying to explain to Mike and Ryan that this has happened. You know, it's just my whole thought. I totally agree. I think there weren't much remorse, only the fact that maybe his boyfriend, this is the reason why him and his boyfriend split.
Well, that was happening before, you know, during last season, and I'm sure before, but, you know, his play tanked, right?
Right.
The play that he was in tanked. What else does he really have? You know, why not spark your career by some bad publicity or good publicity?
That's true.
I think both of them knew.
But I mean, putting yourself out there for that reason, that's kind of, I guess, not. I don't see it in a positive.
But, you know, any publicity
I don't think that's
is good
what they
publicity,
do. Yeah,
you know.
I think they're just looking for publicity.
Well,
keep them current.
And I also read when this actually happened that he didn't really care. He was like, "Yep, this is me. I'm gonna own up to it and let's move on." So I totally think that I totally agree with you guys. But my thing is like, don't make it an issue unless it won't be an issue unless you make it an issue. If that makes sense.
Right. I think he wants to make it an issue.
Yeah, I
think that's why. Yeah.
So.
Well, I think also knowing the season was their series was carried on,
right.
It was going to come up. It was going to help his career, whether, you know, negative publicity or not. It was going to work to his benefit.
Yeah, and
because so does he own that house in the Hamptons?
Yeah.
No, you know what? I think now this is what I gather. I don't think that he owns the house. I think he's renting the house for the summer. Because I'm not sure, Jesse, I don't know if you know this or not, coming from the East Coast, but I know that most people, you know, Fire Island, the Hamptons, they don't own houses. They rent them for a certain number of time, a certain period. I could be
like
wrong.
timeshares.
Yeah, exactly. And they're only allowed to have that house for a certain time period.
That explains the lap lines in the pool. I was like, who owns a personal pool and has lap lines?
And I noticed how far the pool was away from the house. I was like, that can't be his.
Well, and it's like that house was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't think he makes enough money to own outright.
Yeah. So Mike Mike is next on the list. He is shooting his book or photos for his coffee table book, which I was a little confused by with the whole floral versus the masculine, feminine, you know, great, whatever. And Rodney was one of the models. Oh, and we're also introduced to
Marston,
who is, I'm so impressed you remembered his name. And I know why you. Martin, who is Mike's life partner,
quote unquote.
Now, my only problem with this is he's his life partner, business manager, agent, and they met on a blind date a year and a half ago. So I don't know if anyone knows this answer. Did all of this happen in a year and a half? Because
maybe he didn't want to be on the show previous to this.
But he mentioned that he was a blind date. I thought that Mike was already in a long-term relationship for years.
That's what my partner believed, but I heard opposite. So
okay, well, Mike, if you're watching, call us, let us know, fill us in, because I'm kind of confused.
Talent. He kept his private life private.
That's true.
Right?
Well,
there wasn't much mentioned last season.
Well, Ryan's husband is apparently a big entrepreneur, and he's never on the show.
He was last season. He was on once,
but I don't remember ever.
Kind of a heavy set, tall black
guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But it was
his birthday party.
He was on that one episode, and I think I blinked because I missed him, and we never saw or we rarely heard from him again. But apparently this one is going to be on the show because we've seen him in the clips later. But my only observation is
they look alike.
They look like
they're
twin
twins.
Brothers. He looks like his shorter twin brother. I mean, gray hair.
It's a very self-obsessed relationship.
And they both have those feminine ticks, and you know, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but they have that.
They're twins.
They're twins, exactly. It's like dating your brother, which is kind of gross. But anyway, you want to do it. Moving right along. So Rodney is a model now. He has his agent. He has this and this and this. He's on top of the world, and basically through this show. And I honestly think that had he not been on the show, we would not know who he is.
What's the point of him being on the show?
Which goes to like, and this is kind of my whole gripe of the whole A-list New York is no one's really A-list on this show. Not even, and we can get into Nyasha. What's her name? How do you pronounce it? Nyasha.
Nyasha.
She comes in out of nowhere once again, and I think she's a beautiful girl. But her claim to fame, she was Miss Africa USA Ambassador.
Ambassador to Africa.
What does that mean? Does anyone know?
She didn't win.
But she, either you're Miss Africa or USA, or you can't.
I think she's pretty. I think her lips have been overdone a little bit, but
is she? And she.
All I know is she read Austin off. I mean, I was kind of not feeling her.
Before you get into that, you guys want to take a caller?
Absolutely.
All right, caller, you're on the line. What's
Hello
your name?
there.
Where are you from?
Hi, my name is Courtney.
Hi, Courtney. Is this the Courtney Stewart?
Hey, little mama.
Yes, it is. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. We're just here hanging, chilling.
Sounding like Jen from Basketball.
It's funny you say that because I was just watching it, so I was mocking her.
Was it good? All right.
How are you, Courtney? What's going on?
I'm doing very well. So sorry I couldn't visit with you guys in studio today.
Well,
but
you're
I
here in
was
spirit.
I'm watching your show, and you guys are doing a lovely job breaking down the episodes.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm real bitter because I didn't actually see the episode.
Oh, you didn't watch it.
Aw.
You missed a good one, though. This was actually a good one.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad because I thought it would be online right now, and it's so not
Yeah, it's
online.
not.
And
Yeah, I
had
tried.
to watch
I tried last
their
night.
little interviews of like all the different people on the show, and I'm like, I want the actual episode,
Yeah.
not them making fun of the episode.
Well, you weren't the only one. A lot of people didn't catch it. I know DirecTV had problems with it. I watched it. I actually watched it. This will be my third time watching it, so it's actually a really good episode.
Okay, well, I will have to hopefully catch it in rerun and actually get it on my DVR for next week.
That's
But
good.
I just had to give my 2 cents, being I'm in love with Rodney, and Nyasha gets on my nerves. So there you go.
Well, I'm just saying, when you watch the episode, watch Nyasha. She tells Austin off, and she handled it well. I thought it was pretty good. So
I think
She
hers
handled
was
it
not
well. Okay, good. Because she seems like unnecessary drama.
yeah, she's crazy.
No,
but as far as how she dealt with Austin, she read him, she put him in his place, and he kind of had nothing to say. We're gonna, however it's edited, but she told him and didn't stop, and she grabbed her bag and left.
Okay.
You're
Well,
not
Miss
supposed to give it away.
Africa,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that she's at least holding it down and for some reason
she's
other than
holding it
just being
down.
Miss Africa.
Well, thank you for calling,
Thanks,
Courtney.
Courtney.
We miss you in the
I'll
studio.
miss you too, and thank you for doing the A-list because it's so entertaining.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
so glad
hopefully
it's
when
back.
you have time, you can come to the studio and break it down with us.
I
soon.
will do, and I'm going to make a recommendation that you not wear black hats, Kenny.
Why?
I can't see your face. You
Uh-oh.
look like a dot.
Oh.
I want to see your
I will
face.
say this. This was a peaceful beginning to a great season, unlike RuPaul's Drag Race, where we all just ripped on everyone else.
Jackie just hasn't got
I'm
her
not
footing yet.
ripping.
She hasn't
I'm
got her
saying
footing
you
yet.
are hosting, and I would like to see your face against the pretty
Should I take
white
it off my hair?
background.
I didn't put my wig on today. So.
Well, I need to see the
I know
wig
someone you
so
can
we
buy a
see
wig
your
from.
That'd be nice.
And a $1.94 brush.
Well, thank you
All
for
right.
calling,
You
Courtney.
guys
you
get back
soon.
to it.
Thank you. So,
Thank you.
bye. So, Nyasha, let's get back to her. She, she strutted in with her boots. Were they Louis Vuitton? I don't know.
Yeah, they were.
Louis Vuitton boots, all the way up to her
Yep.
They were.
Louis Vuitton.
thighs. And
Mike was saying how much he wanted to steal them from her.
yeah, and and she, I don't know. Well, I never realized. I don't understand why Mike Ruiz is on the show, but she's definitely one of those. Okay, why of all people, why would you cast her on the show?
It was a big wild card. I felt like I don't know why she's here.
And
Maybe Mike pulled her in because remember, Mike is assisting her with something. He might assist her with a video.
yeah, but that was the first time they quote unquote had met. So
And this can't be the only woman they know. It's
Yeah,
just,
I know.
it's really the worst representation of women
my thing
ever.
is, and I agree. And my thing is, and obviously it's a show that they want to find the bitchiest people they can possibly find. But
Right.
I feel as though being a gay, lesbian, bi, transsexual network, they would actually have someone representing. If you're gonna have a woman, it would have been nice to have maybe a lesbian or transsexual. And I actually thought she was. When
I did too. I did. To be honest, I did too.
And I'm not trying to be funny, but and there's nothing wrong. I have many transsexual friends.
But that might be in the predictions.
Yeah. Well. You never know. She never really said that she was a full-fledged woman, so.
Well, I have to admit, her character, or the strength of her character, is more type the girl that I have in my circle anyway. I don't really have weak females in my group.
Right.
Just saying.
What were you saying, Jesse?
I was gonna say, well, one, I don't think she could be any of those things if she won Miss Africa, but also, I think it's what we call here at AfterBuzz "Dick in the Soup." Where the producers are kind of setting a storyline up.
Right.
I think she is a friend of Mike's, and I think Mike and Martin, I believe, they set the story up where now we're being introduced to Martin and that they're business partners,
right?
And they're doing all these different side projects that I do believe Nyasha.
I'm just gonna call her Naja. That's how I feel. That's what I think about it.
I do believe that she was somebody who they were like, you know what? Let's take this girl. I mean, they're bored. They're just two boys who were dating each other, and they were playing around, taking pictures, and just being fabulous now that they're on this TV show. And so it's like, well, let's get our girl and put her on TV, and this will be the best exposure for her. And just act crazy, because then you'll be the crazy bitch that everybody likes.
Yeah.
And
or everyone
even though
hates.
you hate her, but she's going to make the season something that it could never have
I'm
been.
not counting her out. I like her better than Austin, so I'm good.
And exactly, and she put Austin. Nobody could put Austin in his place, and she.
Well, Derek could, but now they're friends.
I actually like Austin.
I actually like Austin too.
I think he's gonna implode. I think Derek's using him. I think Derek's an opportunist
We
as well.
have predictions later, people.
Okay.
So let's stay on focus. What's one of the rules up there?
Uniball.
Uniball. That's going to be the running joke. So moving along, we got Derek and TJ. They're sitting down. And I have to say this because, and I know this is how the show is run. Everything is staged. And it kind of bothers me because nothing is spontaneous. I feel like the real world is one of those shows where it's a reality show that is really like they just put people in a room, roll the cameras, and be spontaneous. This show, it kind of bothers me when they, set the scene up, So,
I do have to say, though, I work for reality production, and oftentimes they'll stage them in such a way that they're seated in a certain way or they're in a certain place.
Right.
But it's not like they pick the action or they basically, put a bunch of bears in a room and see if they're going to fight.
Right.
And so I think there's a certain amount of staging so that it's pleasing to look at. But on the other hand, I think there is a certain amount of spontaneity there that exists within the staging.
Right.
And somewhat they're given license to kind of take it where it's going to go. I don't know how they're.
Well, no. I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe we should find someone who is behind the scenes, a producer or something. But I was under the impression that the producers come in and they say, okay, well, this is what has happened in the past. Why don't we just go with this for right now? Let's go with this situation. What would you do in this situation, kind of thing? Kind of push them in that direction. As you already know, at the end, Nyasha and Austin are going to explode on each other. So let's set it up and
we'll
let's shoot
ask
it.
that question and get back to you guys next week.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I can
Well, also, you think
it
about
won't be about the A-list, but it might come from
the bad publicity. As much as people are going to hate Nyasha, she already has 2 singles out, I believe, on iTunes. So I'm sure we'll see how much her sales jump.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to go up. I'm sure they're going to go up. So TJ and Derek, they have a one-on-one. Derek, or TJ's relationship with Ryan is going down into the crapper. It's gone from being best friends to strictly business, and it's causing a strain on their relationship.
I don't blame Ryan.
I actually, out of everybody on the show, TJ is probably my favorite.
I like TJ.
He's the most entertaining.
He's the most entertaining. He makes light of every situation, and every time, when the fight scene happened, he grabbed his. That was the funniest part for me.
He grabbed his plate and got out of there.
That was great.
Yeah,
we know somebody like that.
I know, and I just feel,
he's young. He's growing up.
But he's smart. His wit is just on.
Yeah,
and
I feel he's very witty.
So I honestly, when he was talking to Derek about his relationship, I actually felt for him. Because not saying I've ever been in that kind of relationship where I'm working for a boss and like we're friends, but you know, I can see where that strain can come as far as friendship, business relationship.
I agree, but as an individual, he needs to take responsibility and maybe think, what have I done to make our relationship go down the tubes? I guess I don't know. He's annoying. He's entertaining, but he's
he
like I said, we have a friend like that, and until they grow up, he's never going to be taken seriously.
Well,
Wow.
So my question is, why is he not a main character?
That
Why haven't they
understand.
just stepped up and said? I mean, we see so much of him. We know so much about his life. Why isn't he?
Doesn't have a good lawyer.
Well, probably. And my thing
Next
is,
season.
Well, my thing is like he out of, in my opinion, aside from Ryan, he's the only like working class one out of all of them. I mean, he's the one that has a full-time job, and he probably is just as. I would have recognized him over Austin and Rodiney from you know, just walking down the street. You know what I mean? Because he has that. He stands out for me even before the first season. Because he's been in every episode since the show started. So you're absolutely right. Maybe I need to get on that.
Derek washes out more so than.
Yeah,
That's
he
true.
does.
That's true.
That's true.
But you
Very
see,
true.
he gets taken to Hawaii in the future, so obviously it's building up.
I
yeah,
actually when I
that looks
saw
like
that,
it's going to be good.
I've seen that little clip 3 times, and I that's
Sticking.
something.
He
I
might
love
have
his
a-
hat in that clip.
That's
I'm
gonna be
just waiting
something.
for the hat.
That's something that's gonna.
And so my other question is, with Derek, how come, you know, you say working class, but we see Derek putting all of his money into a tanning line?
Pansexual.
Pansexual. I don't know. That's a blunt.
Because what was he doing before?
He was a casting agent.
Mm.
So he was working in the business, and you know his whole claim to fame was working with Lindsay Lohan in New York. So
It's
Yeah.
A-list.
A-list.
But I mean, he's basically
arrest.
he's doing a very A-list investment. It's not like he's some poor schmuck that's throwing
Right.
his poor schmuck.
Well,
money.
but he's also like, I remember in the reunion special, his whole goal was to find a sugar daddy, pretty much, and he said it. So I don't know,
Mr. Big.
Mr. Big. So you know, good for him.
Seriously, that
Well, he
whole
met that
Derek
British
and
guy
Austin thing,
in the beginning of the episode.
Well, they brought it up, but then
then nothing happened. That was
they
weird.
didn't say who he was. Maybe he's not gonna be on the show.
Seriously, Derek and Austin rub noses.
Why not?
Seriously? Come on. Really?
You never rub noses.
But you can see if you pay attention to the British boyfriend in the kitchen, he's like,
He
"Ugh."
looks, yeah.
Well, no, okay, not only
Feel bad for that guy.
but I just think it's so funny because to me, that's a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there and you're
He's
watching
having
them.
real emotions.
Yes,
His
he's-
facial expressions. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jesse, but he's like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing here?
He's like rubbing his stomach. His hands are like in
Yeah.
awkward positions. He's rubbing his wrists together. He's like doing this awkward lean pose, and it's just like that's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
Because I would not
Exactly.
be a part of this circus that is being.
and
placed
if
in
you
front.
notice when they were at the fight after everything was said and done, he was pretty much off camera, and then at the end when they were breaking up, he was on camera with Austin.
I just want my visa.
yeah, exactly.
I just want my visa.
So well, and he lives in New York, and now
I have a
they're
lot
married.
of questions about him, though. It's like, hasn't Austin repeatedly cheated on him?
Well, we will
We
see
see
that.
clips already going
We'll
then
get to that later
to
in
the
the season.
downfall
I'm
of
sure,
that relationship because Reichen and Austin are not done.
So Rodney moves out. That was uneventful.
Can I have this shirt?
Yeah. I didn't understand the shirt thing. Like, was it a special shirt?
It may have been used for something we don't know.
Oh, jeez. Well, whatever. Then the launch party happened. It was Mike's t-shirt launch party, which he has. I think he has the Oprah complex where he's gonna have a product and put his face on everything.
Would
Like
you
Oprah?
buy a Mike shirt?
I would.
Would you?
He would. He top
I
dollar
like
over
me some
here.
Mike.
I don't think he wants just Mike's face on the shirt, though.
There's not. There's a bunch of shirts. There's RuPaul on it. Dressed like she's like a Barbie doll.
Well, I didn't see those. I just saw the one that they
They showed
showed.
it
I
on- they
wasn't
showed it on
really
the episode.
paying attention. Whatever. So then now
It's actually reminiscent of for my community, Tom of Finland.
yeah, the whole muscle
That type of cartoon.
back. Was it the 60s, 50s? When that
50s.
yeah, where they had all the muscle, you know,
Cartoons.
daddy cartoon type thing. Very good.
Like I said, for a man in his mid 40s, his body's banging.
But he sounds like a man in his 15s or 20s.
We have a lot of friends like that.
Me, number one. So the fight happens. You know, everything gets out of control, and I actually think that Nyasha instigated it. she's just,
wholeheartedly.
She's upstairs. She's talking to Reichen and Rodiney and getting, their half of the story, which I don't really think it's appropriate in that setting. Who cares? It's just another thing that, maybe they were there for hours and,
Yeah, understanding again, we see the edited version.
Right,
We don't know what's on the floor. And she's obviously a strong character. And sometimes strong characters like that, like myself, tend to take on the underdog's battle, whether asked or not. So apparently she felt it was her need to get involved.
But I feel like as the argument continued or escalated, she egged it on even more.
Yeah, she's pandering. You see her pandering to both sides, which is the problem. It seems like she comes in from the outside, which is already a resentment if you have an established group dynamic.
Right.
And then she comes in and starts poking sticks at both sides, and then wonders why she gets caught in the middle. Well, that's exactly why she gets caught in the middle.
I don't think she's wondering. I think she's going to the bank with her check from iTunes.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Just saying.
I don't think that there's any check from iTunes because I'm literally Googling her and nothing is coming up.
Really? Yeah.
Pobre
I actually
Frita.
looked her up too earlier, and
It's going through Africa.
Well, yeah, Africa. So the argument happens, and I feel like it was built up to this big thing, and then it kind of sizzled, and there wasn't really he threw a punch, and it grazed her.
Actually, he didn't. He went to smack down Rodney's hand. That's all it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was going to be another big blowout like it was in the first season. That's what I was waiting for. And then that, and then
we see her milking her 15 minutes wearing her ace bandage at the table.
That was funny. Yeah. Well, I was going to get to that. I wrote that down. She goes and meets Reichen in the next scene, and Austin. No, Reichen. No.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah. Reichen, then Austin.
Yeah, and then he kind of feels her head with Austin doesn't want your wigs. He doesn't care about your wigs. He don't want your acrylics in your face, and kind of really getting into her head. So when they meet each other, which was another funny moment, he calls her outside of wherever he was.
Which I totally think is contrived, because as far as Austin's character, do you think he really cares, in all honesty?
No.
That was totally set up. I mean, for me. I don't think he really cared. And I don't think he really cared if he was known to be a girl hitter.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure there's a better
I
term
think
for that.
part of it, though, I mean, you have to think that sometimes you have producers making a suggestion. And that person may or may not go with that suggestion.
Right.
So
I was actually going to say that.
Yeah, so the producer might say, "Hey, maybe you should try and apologize. I have her number," and he can choose whether or not he wants to apologize. And I think he probably made that decision.
This is how I think it went. Reichen said, "If you ever want to hit this, you need to apologize to her." That's what I'm saying.
Let's not make
that could happen too.
Probably, but let's not make assumptions. And I totally agree with Jackie, because I feel like this apology was kind of along the same lines as season 1, when he went to apologize to Derek initially. And I'm watching him, and you can see that he looked as though, I know when I make apologies, and if I'm sincere, you can tell. It's written on someone's face.
And body language.
And watching him apologize to Derek in season 1, he just looked like, oh, I really don't want to apologize, but I feel like I'm being forced here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like
in order for my career to remain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel as though that whole conversation, which was funny, because she was like, how did you get my number? That was hilarious.
That was awesome.
You called me here for this.
Yeah. Well, not only that, is like when someone anyway. Yeah, so they meet up, and she has she's got her war face on. She walks in, she's like, what do you want? And
how do you apologize to someone who comes in ready to stab you? It's a little off-putting.
He being who he is, a young gay man, he tried he used the tools that he knows to approach the situation.
That's part of growth, though.
Which were not, and I agree with her to a certain extent. He called her all the way over there to ask her a question. Ask her.
But the minute you use the word "but" to interject, it negates the apology.
Right.
For me, that's my belief.
Right. So, like we've been saying for the last 30 minutes, she told him off, and she was very articulate. And that's the only thing
put him in his place.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I give her credit. Who, her or him?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey.
At least she has a wig line. What does he have?
I like Austin.
He has Playboy.
He has a gut.
And
that
a big
gut,
booty.
Hasn't that gut joke been going since season 1?
Yeah. And the gut joke and the
I don't
big
get
booty
it.
joke.
Yeah.
Well, he...
in the gay community.
Well, the whole thing is he's a model, and he was a model. He was attached to Marc Jacobs, who was a fashion designer, and his whole career was supposed to be built on being a model. And so when he came into season 1, I think it was Ryan and Derek. They looked at him and they were like, "Really, you're a model?" And
the whole jealousy thing and tearing them down. And
yeah, but also he cracks so hard on Rodney.
Right.
For being this broke down model. And, oh, you came up here and what are you really doing? You're not modeling or anything like that. And he was bragging how he was such a model.
Right.
But I mean, you know, look at where the table is turned.
Right, especially in Derek's response in the kitchen, right? They asked you to do the cover.
Yeah.
But going back on what Jesse was saying is how I feel for at that moment with the whole Rodney thing, there was a lot of jealousy because of Reichen. That's what I think. That's where a lot of
I think that's
exactly.
My thing is their whole. Let's just backtrack. Their whole relationship starting in Palm Springs. You know they did it. You know, I mean, you don't go to Palm Springs, meet someone, and hang out with them for what 3-4 days or however long it was.
And just hang out.
And he'd admit that they hung out 2 or 3 other times after that. Y'all didn't do anything. They did something. And he claims, and Reichen claims that they didn't do anything.
Have you ever seen pictures of Austin before he put this weight on?
I think maybe once.
I haven't.
I mean, he literally gained like 3 people.
Yeah, he was very small, very small. He was like.
See, I haven't seen pictures of him before, so he doesn't look.
But in my honest to God opinion, I think he looks fine now. I wouldn't.
Absolutely.
Well, he's not model.
I mean, literally looks like an anorexic Ryan Felipe.
Oh. Gross.
Right. In his, his
but my thing is, like, even in that little clip of him doing the Playboy thing, I don't think he looks that, I don't think he looks that fat as far as our normal definition of, big.
But clothes aren't going to drape off of that.
To me, it looks trashy because it's the things he chooses to do.
Yeah, that's true.
And the poses, it's always like him poking his ass out or...
Call that sway back.
Is that what it is? Well,
what is sway back? I don't know.
When it's unnaturally arched like that.
Yeah, and it's just
I don't
like.
have that problem.
But I do feel for his boyfriend, like in the kitchen scene, like you talked about it, definitely. And now that he's gonna be here regularly, he's gonna see the dynamic between Austin and Reichen, and it's gonna become uncomfortable. Yeah. I would clock that in a heartbeat. I'm just saying. So just because Rodney can't articulate himself, whatever the language barrier, I'm sure that was a situation.
For who? For Reichen?
For Rodney.
Oh, for Rodney.
Feeling
uncomfortable. I think that's a huge problem for Rodney. I think it's the language barrier.
Yeah, and I think kind of the argument with Rodney and Derek about the whole mom thing, and I think Rodney meant to say one thing, and he just didn't articulate. He made
exactly
it sound as though he was talking about Derek's mom directly, which I think if the shoe fits on her or to her, I think what he meant to say was if the shoe fits,
wear it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so this whole language barrier. Well, you know what I mean, though.
No,
I'm just saying Derek needs to fight his own fight. I'm sorry.
Derek looks like an Oompa Loompa.
Wait, but okay, can you guys please express that to me? I'm mad you just said that. But explain that to me. What exactly happened with the Reichen thing?
I guess Reichen made a comment on Facebook.
With the Rodney and Derek.
Okay, what I read through some website of what happened was Rodney, and this is why I don't have my mom as a friend on Facebook.
Yeah.
She has no place on my Facebook. Mom, I love you, but you can't be my friend. So the comment was made on Rodney's Facebook saying, if I was ever a mean person, my mom would stop supporting me, blah, blah, blah. And I think he put it on his Facebook page.
Yeah, he wrote it on his own page.
And I think Derek's mom, of all people, saw this and wrote him back directly. And I guess it got back to Derek. And so this was this whole, it's like writing, like, if Jackie pisses me off, I'm not going to write, F you, biatch on her page. I'm just going to write it on mine so she'll see it. Mm-hmm. And people know when you're projecting on somebody else.
Right.
And I think that was along the line.
Yeah.
Without it being directly directed to you,
right?
It was implied that this was meant for you.
Well, even worse though. So if it was on Rodney's own page,
but Derek can't fight his own battles to the point that he has his mom fighting.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on Rodney's own page and it wasn't on Derek's mom's page. You see, I don't even have Facebook, and this is one of the reasons. But the fact that his mom has to stand up for him, I'm sorry, he would have got his ass beat as a kid, and probably did. That's probably why. I'm just saying.
Which is why he's hiding behind Austin.
So there's a lot to hide behind, according to Jesse Janedy. He said he picked up 3 people.
But we still love him. So that wraps up this episode, and we are
Did anybody know that Mike is from Canada? I
No.
didn't know that. He was Canadian born.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
just saying.
Good for Mike. that's going to wrap up for this segment. We're going to throw it to a commercial.
Uniball.
Want to find out what the AfterBuzz is about?
Janice is a drama queen.
This is the divide that is going to carry the series.
Give us a call. 424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
It's television, and they want it to be as dramatic as possible.
I mean, it's Shakespearean.
You never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Find out why AfterBuzz TV is the #1 source for after-show content.
Now, in the eyes of Jimmy, Nucky is a villain.
424-256-1729. 424-256-1729.
I mean, who would you guys rather hear that from? Your husband or your best friend?
The wig will come out.
When the TV show is over, get your AfterBuzz on.
So this is Nyasha's song Pride right here.
Lovely. She's singing.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So the bodies that Raja walked over while clawing her way to the top of RuPaul's Drag Race aren't even cold. And already the team is looking for more contestants for Season 4, which will begin airing in early 2012. The World of Wonder and Logo have begun their nationwide search for America's next drag superstar, a title that this year came with a $75,000 cash prize and a lifetime supply of cosmetics.
Good for RuPaul. We're going to have another AfterBuzz, hopefully, of Drag Race.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
So young British singer Adele, whose album 21 is currently enjoying widespread critical and commercial success, has paid tribute to the late Amy Winehouse. Adele, like Amy, attended London's Brit Performing Arts School, saying the singer who was found dead Saturday paved the way for artists like me. While Winehouse single-handedly got people excited about British music again, Adele doesn't think she ever realized just how brilliant she was.
Real quick, I absolutely love Adele. I think she is phenomenal, and I think for her to say this about Amy Winehouse speaks a lot volumes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because she technically kind of stepped into her place.
Yeah, absolutely.
The revival of Funny Girl is on its way to Broadway, but without Glee star Leah Michele. There was talk that Leah was going to star as Fanny Bryce, the part made famous by Barbra Streisand in 1964. But color Leah Michele booked, she is under contract to Glee, and according to sources, she's staying on that show or connected to it despite recent reports. Funny Girl is slated for a mid-January run in Los Angeles before heading to New York in the spring to make Tony Award deadline.
I think that's going to be quite a big following, both in New York and LA.
When do the Glee kids graduate?
They graduate next season.
Next season. But
Season
also,
3.
I kind of heard that Leah Michele wasn't going to do the Broadway show, and she's actually going to be doing the remake.
The movie?
The movie.
Oh, that's probably even better. More money.
Yeah, for her.
And so that's your AfterBuzz news and gossip for the A-List New York, Tuesday, July 26, 2011.
Right on. So now we're going to jump right into the predictions for next week.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, guys, real quick, let's go around the room. What do you guys predict for next week's episode? Just real quick. What's going to happen? A lot of drama?
Definitely a lot of
No,
drama.
I think it's going to build up. All I know is Derek and Austin they're going to implode.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen, and this may be overall for the whole series, I think the friendships that we have now are going to completely break, and then the new friendships are going to align.
Yeah.
Like we see with Reichen and TJ. I don't ever remember them ever being friends.
There's going to be more Botox. And
Do you think
Exactly.
that might turn into a
Who?
romance?
This
That's
is
weird.
why
Reichen
every time.
and TJ.
Oh, no.
That's a good point.
That
I
would
hope
be an
so.
awesome odd couple, and I
hope
can't wait to
so.
see
TJ
it.
might get the taint, though. I don't know.
Oh,
I think
jeez.
Nyasha or whatever her name is, I think we're going to find out that she was a man.
Man. Well, that would be
or
awesome.
I think her and Austin at the end of the season are going to team up with each other.
I think
Probably.
I could just see they hate each other so much because they're almost the same person.
They are. Yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
It's true.
Because they love not being clothed.
Well, we'll see, because Rodney's
that's-
supposed to date a girl. We'll see what happens.
And that's all we have for today, guys.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janedy, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.